Good morning, everybody. Welcome to your Rangers Review morning briefing. It is Monday, the 7th of July. I'm Derek Clark, and it brings me great joy to see Stevie Clifford's cheery face alongside me. How's it going, Stevie?
I'm actually cheery, but I'm not sure I'm quite awake yet. The joys. The kids are off on holiday, as you know, for the school holidays, so there's no longer needing to get up at 7:30 and have that hour to wake myself up. So, but nevertheless, we are here. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is well, and I hope everyone had a good weekend.
Yep. It was good to see Rangers back in action yesterday. We'll get stuck into that shortly because there's plenty to talk about. And, of course, transfer. Our podcast sponsors, Willow's Fencing, great guys at the Glasgow-based fencing company you can trust, folks, proud partners of the Rangers Review, and they're offering free consultations and 10% off on their website. If you use the code Rangers Review, head over to willows-fencing.com. They've got over 20 years worth of experience and unparalleled quality. Their qualified team is dedicated to keeping customers happy and providing exceptional work. Right, good to be back at Ibrox yesterday, Stevie. Good test, good workout for the team, you could say. Brugge are a decent outfit, and it was a game of two halves, of course. But what do you make going back to Ibrox yesterday?
First of all, thoroughly enjoyed being back. It was a nice crowd, 29,048, I think it was, and that was pretty decent for a Sunday afternoon friendly. There was a lot to unpack, I think. Very much a game of two halves. You know, Bruges took their foot off it in the second half. Job done, workout-wise for them. But it gave us an opportunity to mix it up a wee bit as well. I think he would have learned a lot from those that played. Those that played, some of them, especially in the first half, showed why they shouldn't be in the Rangers squad. And second half, there was a lot of positive or more positive. Some of them took their chance more than others. I think that's very clear to see. Some, as I said, shouldn't be playing for Rangers, and I think he'll realise that. But overall, it was nice to be back. It was good to see a couple of new boys. Nice to see a couple of goals. Really pleased for young Finlay Curtis. And there was a few more positives. But Derek, it's a pre-season friendly, a bounce game in a situation where we're learning a lot. It's a team under a new head coach and a new way of playing, a new style, all that sort of stuff. It's going to take time. Of course, it's going to take time. I was pleased that we didn't end up, or Bruges didn't end up running away with it, because there was a point there at 2-0 where I think they scalped the inside of the post and did a few across the face of the goal when you were thinking this could end up. They're obviously a very well drilled and well organised side, and that's, by the way, that's the kind of pre-season that I would like us to be having in the coming years, where we turn up and everybody knows and we're already all well drilled and well into it. But to get there, you need to start somewhere, and it's going to take time. So, as I said, nice to be back. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and let's hope it's a stepping stone and a small kind of step in the right direction.
Yeah. In terms of the positives, I think, Finlay Curtis got named man of the match, took his goal really well at the end to earn a draw for Rangers latched on to a good move, you've got to say. Nadim Bayrami, who was also pretty impressive as well. I was quite quietly pleased with his contribution, laying it on a plate for young Finlay. And he's certainly one, Stevie, that took his chance yesterday. Russell Martin gave opportunities to some of the other younger lads as well, which was good. I thought Bailey Rice came in and did well in midfield. Young Josh Gentles, I thought, did well as well. There was an opportunity for Xander Hutton. Leon King and Robin Propper, though, I don't think that's going to be the centre-back pairing we'll see at the start of the season.
No, and it should be. Let's be honest. And here's where it comes particularly difficult. But Robin Propper isn't Rangers class. He's not good enough. Highlighted it several times last year, and he's a very likeable big guy. But, thanks for your time here, Robin. It's time to move on. Leon King needs to move on for his own sake. He was very blunt about Clinton Nsiala in the press conference afterwards, which is fair enough. But, if Clinton is of that opinion of Clinton, which is totally fine, it's up to Russell Martin, then I'm not sure any of those two would have done themselves any favours. But look at it this way. James Tavernier played centre half in the second half and was miles more comfortable at centre back than either of them two, especially on the ball. Robin Proper cost the first goal, although it was, well, he certainly cost the lead up to the goal, and it was quite clear. And then we didn't deal with the second one either. So, it all comes from that kind of area, and it wasn't good enough. And the manager, look, Russell Martin was very clear. He's already brought in Fernandez. He's going to bring in more replacements. We're going to bring in more defenders. So I would imagine that the end is nigh for, Ben Davies, for Robin, for Leon King, etc. And I love Leon to bits. I want to see him go out and play first team football. And if Clinton Nsiala is going as well, that's maybe an indication, because that's 4 in there that you could lose. It's maybe an indication that, these deals that's been rumoured, which I'm sure we'll talk about, are closer than we think. But it's right, Derek. Look, it's got to be right. It's got to be right for the football club, and by that I mean there's no room for sentiment. There's no room for these guys. These guys have been part of a squad that hasn't worked, and that first half was largely, apart from Max Aarons, the same squad that's failed now for a while, and we need to move on. And I'm sorry, like that goes for the likes of Dowell and stuff like that. They need to go.
Yeah.
He's clearly not good enough. Nice lad, everything. I'm not here to slate these boys, but they aren't where we need to be, and they aren't where we need to want to go. So they need to move on. And yesterday at centre back, positionally, they were all over the place. And even Kieran, when he got into positions, you're looking for him to shoot and things like that. And the question I asked Russell Martin about, he wasn't doing anything. So, look, I think yesterday was a positive from that way. And I look at that as in a different way, Derek, that the manager will have seen that up close and seen, and he now knows. So there's it's shown him firsthand the things that we've all complained about in previous years.
Well, there's a few boos at half time. I know some fans are a bit irate at that. But that shows you the sort of club that he's at. That you can get booed in a pre-season friendly.
Yeah, Derek. Look, I don't mind that at all. People pay their money and everything else, but it's a pre-season friendly, and we're what 45 minutes into something new, and people need to. We need to realise, and people need to realise that this. It's not
is this patience, Stevie? Is this asking for patience? It's easier said than done, is it not?
Of course it is, but there's got to be a realism as well, Derek.
I totally get that. Yep.
You look at that squad in that first half yesterday. You look at that 11, Max Aarons only, who has not played a lot of football, who is miles away from being match fit, and this is all game time for them. It's no wonder, Derek, that we've not done any more stadium friendlies and we're wanting to keep things behind closed doors and things like that, because that reaction was way over the top for a friendly match. So no, I don't agree with it. And while I respect people's right to have their opinion, I don't agree with it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Just harping back to Clinton Nsiala, Maki says, is Nsiala going out on loan or looking for another club? I would like him to go out on loan. That would be my preference, Stevie, because I think it would be a bit hasty to just get shot of him. Would you go along with that? We've been on before in the video, and you've said perhaps a loan to a championship club might benefit him just to play games. Russell Martin said that yesterday, not necessarily a championship club, but he has to be playing games, which I totally get. A loan over a permanent move you would prefer, or do you think it's time to maybe cut ties with young Clinton?
Depends how ruthless Russell Martin was going to be, because he never clarified whether or not it was a loan or a sale. He never said. He just said it's time for him. It was pretty clear cut in terms of there's no future for him here. So as I said, there's going to have to be a lot of decisions like this made amongst the squad for the betterment of the squad in the long run. If there's centre backs coming in, then I would like to see Clinton Nsiala have a loan and see where he is in a year's time, because I do think he's got some good raw ability about him. But I also believe that it's up to Russell Martin to make these decisions. And if that's what he's decided, then he's a boss, and that's what we go along with. So ultimately, my opinion or anybody else's shouldn't really matter. It could be that I've seen something in Clinton Nsiala that wasn't there, or simply because that centre-back position's been so bad and for a very long time, Derek. So we really just need to wait and see. He was very strong in his wording that he will be bringing in more reinforcements in that position. And that's a clear sign that we'll be doing things, as already been reported. So, if a loan is available, then great, we can and especially if you're going to get rid of Proper, Davies, I think Leon King falls into that. If you're going to get rid of these guys, then a loan for Clinton Nsiala may be more beneficial than getting rid of them altogether. But ultimately, you can only do what buying teams want as well. So we'll just need to wait and see.
What do you make of Max Aarons taking the number 3 jersey, Stevie? First of all, just off the bat, no right back should be the number 3. Number 2 always, I get it's Tap's number, but it's just it messes with my eyes and OCD and how I vision a football team to look like. But Ridvan has been shunted out to 33, which that tells me if I was Ridvan Yilmaz, I wouldn't be too happy about that. But what do you make of that? And his performance yesterday, Stevie, I thought he was bright. Max Aarons, I thought it was a decent debut from him.
Right, okay. Ridvan Yilmaz doesn't have a future at Rangers Football Club, if we're being entirely honest, because he's never available, he's not robust enough, and he doesn't produce it anywhere enough. His distribution on the ball is pretty chronic. And if this is a sign from Rangers that, he has been told, to find himself another club or whatever, which, as you said, a move like that is quite drastic. We don't know the ins and outs of it, absolutely not. But, as I said, there is work to be done here in this squad, Derek. There's decisions to be made. There's people to move on. So Aarons is going to be a first-team player. He's going to be a starter. He's not going to be number 2. We know that because James Tavernier is squad number 2. So 3 might just be the next one. But to take it off of somebody, it's obviously going to cause attraction, isn't it? But as I said, Derek, there's players to go here for me in this squad, and Ridvan's one of them. So if that's an indicator that there's players going out and there's things he wants to do, then, we've already been linked with left backs, and that might be dependent on who goes out the door as well. I think Joshua said in his piece that there'll be players leaving this week. Russell Martin said the squad will be very different this week. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds. But there's still a lot of work to be done, even though we've got 4 or so in. There's a lot more still to be done, isn't there, Derek? So I think it's all just work in practice. It was interesting as well when he said about Panathinaikos being 2 weeks away and this squad could look very different. I'm very pleased about that because this squad going into a Panathinaikos game wouldn't have enough. So there's decisions everywhere to be made. On Ridvan Yilmaz, I'm sorry, but he's one of the ones that falls into the category of expendable and can move on for me.
Yeah, Stephen gets in touch. Somebody else mentioned this yesterday, and I refuse to believe this is a thing, but he says, changing numbers happens all the time in American sports. Exchange some cash, he could have gotten it. I likened it to like a car regi plate yesterday, Stevie. Someone said he might have just given Ridvan money to take his number off him, but I don't necessarily think it works like that. And he was number 3, I think, at Bournemouth and Norwich for a time as well as Aarons, and it's clear that Russell Martin will be looking to play him regularly as opposed to Ridvan. And I can see him moving out the door. Moving on from that, Emmanuel Fernandez was the other one that made his debut. Stevie came on for Max Aarons, incidentally, a giant of a lad at the back. He is a real presence, isn't he? What did you make of him?
Yeah, I liked what I saw, albeit it was a small cameo. He dealt with a big guy up front pretty well. There was a one-on-one and a bouncing ball, and he just pushed him off him very, very easily and shepherded it back to Jack Butland. I thought he was very comfortable. He was put under pressure at one moment by a kind of poor Jack Butland back pass, but aside of that, I thought he was absolutely fine. Some stature on the boy. He's going to cause a real menace if we can get the proper set piece delivery into him. And I'm pleased with him being here. We'll see how it goes with him. I think that's fair. But in regards to first viewings and that, Derek, he's he looks like the sort of boy where he plays on confidence and things like that. He looked like he was happy to be there and things yesterday. You know, Peterborough, the fans had a lot to say about him, but a fresh start for him and a new challenge, you know, with plenty of you know, positivity behind him and things. I think he could do well, but it's early days. You're hopeful for every sign to do well. We just need to wait and see. But pleased to see him, Derek. Certainly got some stature behind him, that's for sure.
Well, CGNI says that if you've got a pic beside Fernandez, I think you need a chair to stand on to get a picture next to the big lad. He's 6'5", I think. Yeah, he certainly ate his greens growing up. I enjoyed watching Rangers TV yesterday. They had a piece at halftime. Actually plays the piano, which is quite something. Yeah, stick that on Rangers TV, playing Elton John or something. That'd be really good. Big hello to Duncan McNichol, who's became a member. Thank you, Duncan, for your support, and welcome to the channel. Other than that, there's a comment on the difference that Diamandi made. As touched on earlier, Bailey Rice also in the midfield, and Bayrami, who, as we mentioned, set up that goal for Finlay Curtis. I think we've discussed Bayrami before, Stevie, about whether a new set of eyes, a new coach coming in might get the best out of him. Certainly, it was quite enjoyed watching him in the Rangers jersey yesterday.
Well, there's a couple of things with Nadim Bayrami. He should be extremely comfortable on the ball and playing in tight spaces, which we did several times.
Yeah.
And he was, which you would come to expect. But what I don't come to expect from Nadim Bayrami is using his body and using power and pace to get away from defenders like he did for the equaliser, which he was excellent. And then I'll go back to what I said about Bayrami, and it's the same with Cortez and probably the same with Danilo as well. You know, how much desire and how much do you really want it to play for Rangers and really want to be here? And if you do, here's your opportunity. And Cortez got a lot of praise yesterday, and he worked hard, but he disappointed me, Derek, because in the first half, he had a couple of one-on-ones where you really wanted them to go. Go and run, go and expose the fullback, go and try and make it happen. Twice he cut in and drilled it against the defender first man, or he overhit his cross and stuff like that. And listen, I'm all for, we want to give him a chance and we want to do it, but these boys have got to go and affect the game. They've got to go and make it happen. Bayrami, when he came on, and there was a lovely, very quick 1-2 with Josh Gentles in there that played a really good part, because it enabled Bayrami just to take it in his stride. And it was a lovely little move. Great finish by Finlay Curtis. Lovely pass as well, because everything had to be spot on, and it was. So all credit not only to Diamandi, but to Bayrami, because both of them affected the energy, Derek. Now, Bayrami and Mohamed Diamandi, I don't think they're going to be first-team picks when you look at Rothwell, when you look at Raskin, when you look at, Asgard being in there. So there's now potentially competition in there, which you need. And Mohamed Diamandi suffered a wee bit from inconsistency, and I don't think he should have played the number of games he did last year, because when he was good, Diamandi, he's really good.
Yeah.
But I think he suffers going, Wednesday, Saturday, or Thursday, Sunday, whatever it is. I think he suffers a wee bit from that, and he's not able to produce constant levels. So having that competition in there should really help him. But going back to Bayrami and things like that, because I think Dio's safe in the squad. I think we know that. But we're looking for him just to maybe make a wee step up in terms of his performance. With regards to Bayrami, he falls into the Cortez and kind of Danilo and stuff like that. If you really want to be here and you want to play for Rangers, then you've got to prove it and you've got to show it. I did think, Derek, to be honest, yesterday, the midfield three that started didn't work. Connor Barron, okay. Nico Raskin, I'm not sure left side, the way he played was ideal for him. No. And Kieran Dowell being on the other side, I would have swapped them round. Kieran Dowell, completely ineffectual for me. He passed the buck several times when he had the opportunity. I was pleased though, Derek, and I don't want to focus on the negatives. I was pleased some of the moves they had, and it'll probably be understated because we didn't finish them. But the amount of times we freed the attacking midfielder at the top of the tree is such, where Raskin or Dowell had opportunities from the edge of the box, and I asked the manager about that, and you could see they've worked on it by overloading the wing so that when the ball does go in the middle, there's free runners. And Raskin hit a couple over. He hit one which the defender tipped wide. Dowell had opportunities which he shunted to somebody else. And if you get the proper people in those positions, like your Rothwells, like your Asgards, who does finish, Asgard, had a really good goal record last year, didn't he? If we can get these boys in those positions, then I'll be really pleased about that. And I think that worked and looked well. So there was positives yesterday, absolutely.
Yeah. And there's a comment as well saying, forgot Lyle Cameron as another one in the reckoning who was introduced at halftime alongside Asgard and Joe Rothwell as well. So
looking good in that training gear, Derek said not many people.
Not a fan of the travel range, Stevie.
Listen, I'm a shill for the old gear, you know that, Derek, in terms of the old training gear and all that sort of stuff. But even I was questioning that range. So I think that's as polite as I can make it. But I don't think it looked. I'm not sure it looked any better. It looked really bulky and oversized and things like. I'm not sure it looked.
I need to the hoodies. I need to look at the hoodies close up to make an accurate assessment. But going by the images online, it's fair to say Rangers have had much better ranges than that. And that is being kind. So there you go. Even Russell Martin shunned it yesterday. He was looking dapper in his t-shirt and his trousers. So there you go. Moving on from that, just staying with Russell Martin, Scott D with the point says, going by Martin's comments, we should expect a busy week. Absolutely. In the post-match press conference, he says he expects the team to look very different and the squad to look different in a week's time. And of course, that Panathinaikos game is edging ever closer as well. The team heading down to St. George's Park. A number of teams heading down there. Sheffield Wednesday are down there this week. I wonder if perhaps the two clubs might play a closed doors friendly. But loads of teams head down there, and Joshua and Chris also venturing down later on in the week. A few other points to pick up. Just moving on then to transfers, Stevie, and centre halves, of course. Molten Man says is Djiga, the same size as Fernandez. This is Nasser Djiga. We expect to become a Rangers player on loan from Wolverhampton Wanderers. I've seen the little clips of him. He too is a unit, Stevie, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing him in a Rangers jersey. It looks like he can handle himself, this lad.
Yeah, well, if you're that size, it's funny because Telwasker 6'2", Joe Rothwell 6'1", Fernandez 9'2", Nsiala 6'4", 6'5", whatever he is. So it's pretty clear, what's happening here. And one of the things Russell Martin highlighted, I think straight away, was lack of physicality and lack of strength. Now, you don't need to be, a bully at that size. Technically, Rothwell and Telo Asgard are very technical players, aren't they? Lyle Cameron, Max Aarons are smaller technical players. But the spine of your team, Derek, is starting to, and if you remember, I likened it to a jigsaw or a ball of wool that you pull a thread and it all kind of unravels. I'm starting to see, you're starting to see what they're trying to do here. So, it's pretty clear that kind of physicality and that stature is appearing, which is great. I don't want us to be labelled as a team that's just bullies and kicks, but listen, there's a reason, Derek, why we weren't picking up consistent results in this league, and teams, no disrespect to them, that shouldn't be picking up points against us are, because set pieces and things, the small margins, we weren't affecting and we weren't winning. I remember we went something like 150 corners without scoring and all this kind of ridiculous levels. These are things that can't happen and shouldn't happen. So we also need a team, and Russell Martin said this, we need to find a way to win immediately and straight away. So you can see what he's doing. We'll look forward to what's going to come of this week. We obviously know about Nasser and Djiga, who we're going to look forward to how you actually pronounce his name. So that's going to be an interesting one to get that sorted, hopefully over the line pretty soon on loan, especially if we're going down to St. George's, Derek. You're going to want that in place so that the boys can do that training. As quickly as possible. So, it's positive. I still think we need another after that at centre-back. I still think you need, as well as Fernandez, as well as him, as well as Suter, you probably need one more in there just to be comfortable. I know Tav can kind of dovetail in there, that's fine. But Tav's also needed it right back. Sterling, September, October time for him. So you've got a wee bit to wait. But I still think you need one more after that. So we need to wait and see what's going to happen. If Cody is progressing, we know there is interest, but where is that? He played at the weekend. So there's a lot to kind of unpack. But he would be another big guy, wouldn't he? So
yeah,
it's nice to see that side being added. And I think it's clear as well, just a small point, the amount of ball that Robin Proper and Leon King had in the first half yesterday and how high we were and where they ventured into the pitch, I think shows you why we need proper ball playing defenders. The first goal came from Robin Proper giving the ball away from venturing out at the back. We need to make sure that that doesn't happen. And they need that kind of physicality and pace and to be good on the ball, which maybe we currently don't have. John Suter's good on the ball. So we'll just need to wait and see how he goes with it. He probably won't be first choice anymore either. But yes, I think it's clear what they're trying to build, that's for sure.
Yeah. Thank you to Andrew Simpson, who says you pronounce it Gia. Stevie and Derek, he's joining when they're down in England. No point in coming up with when we're going down. He's joining. Yeah, we mean St George's Park. Yeah, so Gia is how you pronounce the chap's name. Yeah, that point about the 2 goals that Rangers conceded. Interestingly, Russell Martin says that we should have fouled twice for the goals. He was not too happy about the goals that were conceded. Certainly the second one, the strike was, I mean, that's a goal of the season contender, but it shouldn't have got to that stage. So, the manager not too happy about those goals that were conceded. In terms of other transfer speculation, Stevie, the manager was asked about links to Jamie Vardy in the press conference. He didn't say no, but he never... It was pretty much wasn't getting drawn on it and commenting on those links. I would like to see him at Rangers, I've got to say. I think he would be good for the dressing room. I think he would revel in the atmosphere and going to grounds where the fans will just give him it tight. I think he's done that for much of his career, and I would take him. Stevie, your thoughts on that?
First of all, the question about the dark arts sort of side of it with Russell Martin was myself. I asked him, and I thought it was great. This is a point in when you get a friendly that early, because it's a learning point immediately. Here's what you should have done, and here's what I expect from further forward. So I liked that, and I liked his answer to it. So that was one of the kind of standout points, I think, from the press conference. With regard to asking him about transfers, he's never going to tell you.
No.
And he told you he's never ever going to tell you anything unless, somebody was an hour away from being announced. They might say you might hear something soon, but he's never going to talk to you. It's more or less a wasted question. I understand why it's asked. But with regard to Jamie Vardy, it's probably the rumour that won't go away. The Genoa kind of reporting on it yesterday made it a wee bit more I don't know, back in people's minds, I think, or maybe more headlines as such. We just need to wait and see. I don't know anything about this one. I spoke to you about this, I don't know, it must seem like 2.5 months ago when it was first mentioned, Derek, on the review morning show. Would you take a Vardy type? And the answer was yes. And the answer still remains yes for me as a squad player. But I think this is where it's difficult, because Jermaine Defoe, when he came to Rangers, I think understood that Alfredo Morelos was in front of him and he was happy to play that kind of bit part in that kind of squad role. I'm not sure Jamie Vardy does that if he comes here.
If you want to start every game.
Aye. And I think he'll demand that, which is interesting. I think he's fit. I think he's still got it within him. So it's going to be interesting to see how it would work. He's certainly got the ability. He's certainly got the experience, the potential. He's done it for Leicester. Where he is now at 38, I'm not quite sure. Really good experience in the squad. We just need to wait and see. Honestly, it's a difficult one. See, when you look at it yesterday, everybody knows I love Danilo, but that front line yesterday lacked so much, especially in the first half. There was no conviction to it. A lot of that helped in the second because the midfield really drove them on. But a lot of that, we need to fix. We urgently need wingers that are going to be game changers and make chances and do things. And it goes back to that thing about Cortez where he's one-on-one. We need guys that are going to kill in those situations, Derek. You know what I mean? And
exactly.
go and influence the game. Go and get numbers. Go and make sure you're doing that. So hopefully that will come. And then from there, your front man should get a lot more. Cyril Dessers, we need to find out. The manager did tell us that Ike Athens, there was nothing there, but they had rejected a bid, which we assume maybe from them was miles away.
Yep.
Nothing. He knows nothing about Lille and Igaman. All these stories being reported of saying goodbyes and all the egg timers that are getting put on social media with regard to his move are just a load of nonsense. So where are they going to fit in? How are they going to fit in? Will they move on? These are questions we all need to be asked. Because if Jamie Vardy comes in and you've suddenly got Igaman, Vardy, Dessers and Danilo, 4-1 doesn't go there.
Yeah.
4-1 doesn't go. And by the way, I still think we need somebody else in there. And then you're taking a couple of them out of there. So I still think we need an out-and-out 9. An out-and-out 9 after Vardy. So from that, potentially 4 or 5 that would be in there, there's a couple coming out of it. So there's still, as the manager said, this squad in a couple of weeks could be a lot different. He said it could be a lot different this week. So hopefully I've sat in the fence as much as possible with that Vardy answer.
Well, I'm going to throw another chap at you, Stevie. Just when you're talking about wingers, there, of course, another player that been linked with, and Rangers had an interest in this lad last year as well. Jesserun Rak-Sakyi, I think that's how you pronounce it. The chap's name, 22. He's from Crystal Palace, on loan at Sheffield United last season. He is a winger, Stevie. Do you know much about him? Was he any good in Football Manager?
Yes, take him 100%. He was a name that I heard last week, being floated about as a potential loanee, which is interesting. Natural width, good raw pace. Just need to wait and see how that goes and what comes of it, Derek. We do need. I'd like to see genuinely 3 wingers being brought in. I think there was a real lack of that quality yesterday throughout the team. Young Finlay Curtis, I thought, done smashing, and if you consider, he took his goal really well. He brought himself into the game. He started off quite tentatively, but brought himself in as a young lad. He's got a real future. Somebody who scored a lot of goals in the youth levels and knows where the goal is. So I've got no problem with him being a first team squad player and learning for the future. No problem at all. But we need first team quality in the league. Guys that are going to take opportunities, guys that are going to break and not only look for a pass, but seize the opportunity themselves, get the goals, get the numbers, get that excitement for the team, because it does at the moment. It is a work in progress. I get that. There's not a criticism here. Everything hopefully will happen in time, but the team definitely need that.
Yeah. Those of you, if you want a bit of insight into Tello Asgard, incidentally, folks, I'm speaking to a Luton Town fan a little bit later on, so that'll be with you this afternoon. Keep your eyes peeled for that. But we'll wrap up there for now. Big thank you to you all for tuning in to the show. Bumper show as ever. Big thank you to Stevie as well. Up to anything of note this week, Stevie?
Don't think so.
You were away recently, weren't you?
Yeah, I was down by Lake Windermere.
Yeah, how was it?
Sailing around Lake Windermere and stuff. It was quite fun, quite chilled. You know what I mean? Just get the kids away for a few days. But it was quite nice. What I'm up to this week, I don't think anything exciting. The kids are off. It's all depending on
the weather,
dog walks and trip to the park and all that kind of stuff, and just the usual that everybody tries to do to get themselves through the day when the kids are off school. It's a lot to have them in the house for 10 hours, Derek. So you need to invent things and get them out, bike rides and all sorts of nonsense. So yes, it is that wonderful time of the year where they get 6-7 weeks off. So that is it. I don't think there's anything exciting planned, but I don't remember these. You know what I'm like, Derek? I barely remembered I was on here until about 9:20. So I actually seen the notification on X and thought, oh, well, that's me. So yeah, you know what I'm like. But that's it basically, mate. And what I would say, look, thanks for having us on. Thanks everybody for all the comments and the interaction, and hope everybody has a great week. I hope it's an exciting week with lots of signings and things, and let's hope it is. So yeah, it's a lot of work to do. Really enjoyed being back yesterday. Looking forward to going down to St George's at the end of the week. That's where I'm going. Yes,
I knew I was doing St George's.
Oh, yes, yeah. Told you I knew I was doing something.
You guys on a jolly, you, Joshua and Chris.
No, the boys, I think they're going down by train, aren't they? So I'm driving
actually,
down. Myself and David Edgar from Heart and Hand podcast are going down to cover it from fan media point of view. So looking forward to that for Thursday, and then back up on Friday evening after all the stuff. So really looking forward to that, Derek. That should be fun. Some good coverage, and a chance to see them in training and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. There you go. I knew I had something doing.
Excellent stuff. Blue Nose Sparky, very kindly joined the channel. Thank you, buddy. Hopes are a good person. There's a show we'll record. We do it every week, the Q&A show, and we'll record that usually at 2 p.m. But I'll tell you what, we'll try and record slightly earlier, 1 p.m. this afternoon. I'll stick the request out on the community page a little later on, and we'll go live at 1 where you can get your questions in, and we'll get through as many as we possibly can. Right. Big thanks to Stevie. Thank you to you all for tuning in as ever, and enjoy your Monday, whatever you are doing. Bye for now.